some of the language you'll hear on Blood on the Microphone can be adult in nature. This program is intended for a mature audience. Listener discretion is strongly advised.
Hi there, I'm Bill Schmalfelt, the Liberal Grouch, and I have to record this part of the show because I don't think I would be able to just plow right through it if I were doing it on a live mic. As my friends and longtime listeners and readers know, I have Parkinson's disease. I was diagnosed with it more than 13 years ago. And as a result, I'm generally an early-to-bed type of guy. I take 4 pills at night, about an hour before I go to bed, a levodopa-carbidopa combination, an Ambien to put me to sleep, and 2 clonazepam to keep me from punching and kicking the walls while I'm asleep. They do the trick generally. I generally go to bed around 9 o'clock. And then right at about 11 p.m., I'm awakened by somebody pounding on my front door. I get up, eventually, make my way to the door, and I'm really in a Ambien state of mind at that point. And there are 2 Howard County police officers standing on my porch. Again, this is about 11 o'clock last night. They had papers for me. These papers. Criminal summons on a charging document. These are from Carroll County. And these are from charges that have been already dropped. Ordering me to appear on May 14th, I believe, for failure to comply with a peace order, said peace order having already been dismissed. I stood there in the cold, shaking, leaning against the deck rail to keep from falling, as the very kind and very polite police officer showed me where to sign, and I went back to bed, and we had a brief discussion, my wife and I, about this whole thing, about my involvement in all of this. This was, well, let me put it this way. Have you ever had to write a resignation letter from something you've really enjoyed doing and you felt was important, but you knew you just couldn't do it anymore? You knew the risks were too high and that you were asking other people to assume those risks with you. That's kind of where I found myself this morning. Last night, right at bedtime, my wife and I had a disagreement over what it is I'm doing on this show, what our goals are, and why I should be involved. And that pretty much weighed heavily on me all night. And it manifested in something of an emotional, breakdown, I guess would be the right word, this morning. Right now, as I record this, we're about an hour and a half away from actual live airtime. And I've been sitting here trying to think of the words to say to tell you that this would be my last radio program. For over an hour this morning, I sat with my wife and explained the whole story of how I got involved, from the end of the story where I eliminated a phony Occupy Madison website, to my becoming aware of Ali Akbar and his fraudulent 501c3. My efforts to get more information about that and how that opened the gates of hell, unleashing every Brightbot demon to attack me. I guess I was seen as the weak wildebeest in the herd, the one who limps as he runs, as the jackals separate the weakest one from the herd and then descend on it. I was apparently that wildebeest. And the jackals thought I would be an easy meal. But so far, I've proven a little tougher than that. In a month, the month of March, during which my mother died, the attacks on me have become unbearable. And even more so, they've frightened my wife. The problem is, I've been sharing this information with her, because I share everything with her, and she's scared. I don't know how credible these threats are. I like to think that we're just dealing with a bunch of hot air, but my wife expressed to me this morning that she fears people shooting through our walls now. So I have to make a decision. Do I continue doing this show? Do I continue enraging the right wing with my brand of satire, with my observations about their wrongdoings? It's no longer a matter of my reputation. My reputation is shot, and it's permanently destroyed. After facing 13 separate charges and peace orders, and having all of them dismissed. Lee Stranahan has written something like 74 blog entries about how evil I am. Aaron Walker has written God knows how many entries about how evil I am. WJJ Hogue has written God knows how many entries about how evil and stupid and weak I am. Now we've got this Kimberlin Unmasked Toad, who I suspect is working for the Deputy District Attorney of Los Angeles County, who really needs to worry more about his own situation than he needs to worry about anybody else's. This pack of jackals has successfully culled me from the herd, believing as they did that my Parkinson's disease, my inability to deal with stress, the recent loss of my mother, would all prove to be too much. And they were right. It is too much. And when you add to that the stress this places on the most important person in my life, my wife, Gail, who I've been with for 25 years, what can I do? Do I quit? Or do I live by what I was taught? That the only thing necessary for evil to succeed is when good people do nothing. I submitted my body to the surgical table for an experimental surgery that they didn't even know for sure I would live through. The surgery was to determine whether or not deep brain stimulation could be done successfully on people in the early stages of Parkinson's disease. But at least then I was only risking my own life. Now there are other lives in the balance. On Monday, Aaron Walker, WJJ Hogue are leading a nationwide effort to harass the Howard County State's Attorney at a time when law enforcement is at a heightened state of alert due to the recent killings of prison officials and district attorneys, these morons are going to clog the telephone lines, clog the email accounts, encourage in-person visits to the state's attorney in Howard County. These idiots are on notice. The Howard County State's Attorney is ready for you. Enjoy your visit and realize what sort of welcome awaits you. In the meantime, I'm not comparing myself in any way to Dr. Martin Luther King. No way. That man had bravery that we can't even comprehend. But I will use his words, and I hope you will forgive me. I have been to the mountaintop, and I have seen the promised land, and I may not get there with you, but we're going to get there. Ladies and gentlemen, this was going to be my last show. And then I decided, as I decided when I had the experimental surgery back in 2007, it's scary. But if I don't do this, who will? If I cut and run, who will take my place? If I give in because I'm scared, the bad guys win. And kids, that ain't going to happen. So I've come to an accommodation with my wife. I will continue to do this show. I'm just not going to tell her anything I'm talking about. I had been playing my bits for her. I'm not going to play those for her anymore because she is afraid not only for herself, but for me and for our very existence. She knows the kind of crazy that lives in the right-wing world of the ultra-extreme idiot. We're not talking about everyday average conservatives. We're talking about the extreme right wing, the sort of people who shoot abortion doctors, the sort of people who blow up abortion clinics, the sort of people who fly airplanes into IRS buildings. Those are the people we're talking about. And I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop until there is blood on the microphone.
Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men?
The liberal grouch knows.
The liberal grouch Bill Schmalfeld, a man of meager means, a student of science, and a master of other people's minds, devotes his life to righting wrongs, solving crimes, protecting the innocent, and punishing the guilty. Using advanced methods that may ultimately become available to all law enforcement agencies, Schmalfeld is known to the evil Breitbart empire as the liberal grouch. Never seen, only heard. A seemingly supernatural nemesis as haunting to the superstitious mind of a right-winger moron as a ghost, as inevitable as a guilty conscience. The liberal grouch has vowed that only death will end his quest for social justice. And when that day happens, and his voice is silenced, it will surely be as the result of blood on the microphone.
And that day ain't here yet, kids. That day ain't here yet. Hi there, I'm Bill Schmalfeld, the Liberal Grouch. Thanks for joining us for this episode of Blood on the Microphone. The evil lurks in the hearts of Wingnuts. That's our episode title today. And yes, I was very, very close to getting in touch with my friends and telling them that I was no longer going to do this show because my wife was afraid. I don't want to sound like I'm invulnerable or anything, like I don't get scared. But death ain't nothing but a thing. You know? To me, death ain't nothing but a thing. But I do have concerns about my wife and my family and my house and all that other stuff. And, well, we see the kind of crazy we're dealing with. So, do you continue and risk that kind of crazy? Or do you give that kind of crazy the victory it longs for and give up? No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. I would shame my mother and father, God rest their souls, if I hung up the microphone now. If I choose to do so at a later date, because my Parkinson's symptoms have made it impossible for me to talk, that'll be a different choice. That will be a choice made out of necessity, not out of fear. But let me tell you a little something about fear. Last summer, I was invited to speak to a group of lobbyists and congressional staffers at the Cannon office building in downtown Washington, D.C., the Cannon House office building. I stood in this room where so much history had happened and spoke to a group of about, I'm guessing somewhere on the order of 200 or so lobbyists and staffers from various congressional offices. And I told them about the importance of clinical research in the search for cures of disease, for disease, I should say. Let me share a little bit of that speech with you, if you don't mind.
No, I want to go over here. Right. Thank you, though. He's going to come with me. Hi, I'm Bill Schmalfelt. And Michael J. Fox couldn't be here today, so they asked me. And since Mr. Fox and I are the only two people in America who have Parkinson's disease, that's nonsense. You just heard from Dr. Charles. There's 1 million of us. 1 million people with Parkinson's disease in the United States of America. And what's the first thing you think of when somebody tells you or mentions the word Parkinson's? You don't think? Nobody had tremor, right. Tremor is probably the least disabling symptom of the 4 cardinal symptoms of Parkinson's disease. You got your bradykinesia, which means slowness of movement. You got your postural instability, which is why I use a walker when I walk. You've got your, what am I leaving out? Postural instability, tremor, bradykinesia, rigidity, which deep brain stimulation really, really helps with. Now, if you were expecting Dr. Charles and I to break into putting on the Ritz, you're going to be deeply disappointed. But I want to point out, I want to do a little experiment with you right now, if you don't mind. You've been sitting there for quite some time, so if I could ask you all please to stand up, just for a moment. Because if everybody else could walk up to the podium here, I'll be damned if I'm going to talk to you sitting down. Okay? Now, I am going to demonstrate one of the features of Parkinson's disease. It's called freezing of gait. Now, I want you, if you feel safe doing this, put your hands on the table, or just steady yourself somehow, so you don't fall. Okay? I want you to lift your right foot and an inch or so. Just raise it about an inch or so, however you feel to do it. Everybody got your right foot up? Now, leaving your right foot up, raise your left foot. That is what freezing of gait feels like. Only imagine you're crossing a busy street. You got old Rusty there, the walker in front of you. You're rolling along at a fairly decent clip. All of a sudden, your feet go, ah. And it could be for any reason. It didn't like that stripe on the road. There was a change in the pattern from the car. You can sit down. This is not a dictatorship. You are allowed to sit. Imagine you're walking across the street and you freeze up, and people are so forgiving. They're blowing their horns at you. They're wondering why this fat goof is standing there in the middle of the street and not walking. And the horns are increasing your stress, and they're making the symptoms even worse. See, you probably don't know about that. You think Parkinson's disease? You think tremor? I bought this little book here with me today, What I Done Wrought. And if you're concerned about this being a bribe, it's not. I can get these for like $3. So it's. I only brought about a dozen of them or so. So on your way out, grab one. Learn something about Parkinson's disease, learn about my experience with this clinical trial. That is kind of my mission in life now. I'm retired from the National Institutes of Health. I used to work for the clinical center there, and my job was informing people about the importance of clinical trials. And in 2007, I kind of convicted myself. I said, well, here, God has blessed me with this perfectly good disease, and I am doing nothing to help further the medical science. So I looked into the concept of clinical trials, and it turned out most of the trials I looked at, I either had not enough Parkinson's or too much. So I finally found one clinical trial for which I was a perfect fit. His. So I looked at it and, okay, I can go to Vanderbilt. I live in the D.C. area, but, you know, I'm a civil servant. I make all kinds of money, you know. I can go to Vanderbilt whenever I want to. I'll go there today. And then I read a little further and saw what they were asking for. It was a phase 1 clinical trial. And they weren't looking to see whether or not this would cure me or make me any better. They were looking to see if A person would even sign up for a study like this, B, whether or not a person would stay with a clinical trial like this for 5 full years, and C, would those of us in the earlier stages of Parkinson's survive the friggin' operation? And I said, I don't want to do that. But the more I thought about it, the more I let it kind of roll around in my head. You know how that is. You get an idea and you realize right away it's a harebrained idea, but then you think about it. And I thought, well, they need 30 people. There's a 50% chance I get randomized to the medical group. 50% chance I go to the surgical group. And it's really only at, 2% mortality across the board for smaller than that even? Yeah, okay, whatever. I already had mine, so. Matter of fact, it was 5 years ago today that I had my deep brain stimulation. 5 years ago from right now, they were stitching me up. Dr. Charles was there, Dr. Peter Conrad, who, let me tell you, if you ever want a neurosurgeon, you want a gunslinger, and Peter Conrad is a gunslinger. My goal in life now is to inform people about Parkinson's disease. It's not just the tremor. There's so much more to it, and it's different for everybody. Everybody who has Parkinson's, you will find no two patients who have it to the same degree, who suffer from the same symptoms, who suffer from bradykinesia or depression or seborrheic dermatitis. Yes, it is a skin condition caused by Parkinson's disease. I am so happy that I took part in this clinical trial. And I've got one goal from this point on in my life, and that's to live long enough to see the day when my friend Dr. Charles gets the funding he needs to do a multi-center phase 3 clinical trial with hundreds of patients across the spectrum of the country, border to border, coast to coast. And then the FDA gets their hands on it, looks at it, and says, well, by golly, this looks like something we can approve for the earlier stages of Parkinson's. It's a surgery we can do safely. It's a surgery we can do while they're younger and healthier. And the sweet spot in the brain is easier to find than it is with an older, sicker patient.
And actually, I rambled on for about another 5 minutes or so, but at that point, the cell phone that I had in my shirt pocket, somebody dialed the number, it rang, and the recording ended. So you didn't miss much. But anyway, if you crazy fuckers think you can scare me with threats of violence, imagine laying in a hospital bed the night before having volunteer brain surgery. Surgery you don't need. Surgery that may kill you. Surgery that is designed not to help you, not to cure you, but to see if you'll live through it. To see if maybe, perchance, somehow, someday, this might help other people. You think I'm scared of you? Fuck you. That's for all of you. Now, last night, William John Joseph Hogue announced on his blog that Carroll County, Maryland, has thrown out the charges he's filed against me. Heh. Call me the Teflon Don of the left-wing media. 13 separate charges, none even makes it to prosecution. Lee Stranahan filed charges under Maryland Criminal Code, Title 3, Subtitle 8, Section 3.3803, harassment as a course of conduct, and Maryland Criminal Code, Title 3, Subtitle 8, Section 3.805, misuse of electronic mail. Then he proceeded to try his case on his blog and across the internet, declaring me guilty, guilty, guilty. The Howard County State's Attorney disagreed and declined to prosecute. Me too, them zero. Aaron Walker, the worst attorney on the face of the planet. The fact that this man still has a law license should be an insult to every decent lawyer in America. Aaron Walker filed a peace order, which is the same thing as a restraining order in other states, filed a peace order against me. He also filed criminal charges under Maryland 8, 3.03, and 3.05, wrote several blog entries and articles about what a criminal I am. Peace order denied. State's attorney declines to prosecute. Me 5, them 0. Then the worst of them all, the most stupid of them all, W.J.J. Hogue. First, he files 2 peace orders, both of which dismissed. He's appealing both of those, which is why I had to get up last night. He filed criminal charges under Maryland 8, 3.03 and 3.05, and a baffling charge of illegal access to a computer under Maryland Title 7.302C, where he claimed I used a static IP that belonged to some guy in Kansas City, Missouri, and used it to threaten him. All 3 of those charges dropped. He filed another charge under Maryland 8303. Dismissed. Filed a criminal charge saying I failed to comply with a peace order that has since been dismissed. Dismissed. Filed a contempt citation claiming I violated a peace order. Denied. All the while blogging about how evil and stupid and criminal I am. Not one of these weasels has the manhood required to apologize for the stress, the pain, the time, the effort, the expense they put me through at this most difficult time of my life, the month during I lost my beloved mother while she had her final illness. I had to get a continuance of one of Aaron Walker's peace order hearings so I could be at my mom's side in Milwaukee when she died on March 8th. All the evil things about me on the internet are still there. A year and a half ago, you did a search under my name. You'd find links to my blogs. You'd find links to my books. You'd find links to my work with Parkinson's disease. Now you find the writing of R. Stacy McCain calling me an unhinged, deranged criminal. You find the writings of this loathsome Kimberlin unmasked creature, and so on and so on and so forth. Damn good thing I don't have to look for a job because I'd never get one. I'm also not going to get any justice, apparently, since none of these people has a pot to piss in. Suing them would feel good, but it would be like pissing your pants wearing a dark suit. You'd have a nice warm feeling, but nobody would notice. Now, at a time when law enforcement officials are in a state of heightened alert, with prison officials and district attorneys being assassinated around the nation, W.J.J. Hogue and Aaron Walker are exorcising their butthurt at having their cases dismissed by organizing a full-fledged everybody blog and contact the Howard County State's Attorney Day coming up on Monday. Knowing the sorts of people who follow Walker and Hogue, including Hogue's disgusting, gun-wielding pig of a son, we'll just have to pray that nothing unfortunate happens on Monday. We are assured that the Howard County State's Attorney's Office and the entire courthouse will be on a heightened state of alert. Now, this is going to cost taxpayer dollars, and you know how much these wingnuts care about taxpayer dollars, right? Because a Virginia resident, failed lawyer, and a Carroll County codger, gadfly, have butthurt. Walker claims he was told something outrageous by an assistant state's attorney in front of witnesses. Something I cannot imagine a sworn officer of the court saying to a civilian in front of witnesses. But it's not like Walker would lie, or that fools would believe his lies. Be very careful Monday, boys. We don't want anybody getting hurt. An apology would be nice. I know you don't have a single testicle among you, but an apology would be appreciated.
Blood on the microphone.
I want to tell you a story about a young man and his friends. In 2007, this young man broke into a van, stole a debit card, and tried to use it. He was caught, arrested, and convicted on felony charges. Yet somehow, by May 2012, he had taken over the right-wing blogosphere. This book, Vice and Victory, with an emphasis on the former, follows the true story of Ali Abdul Razak Akbar as he blazes a trail of deception from a Fort Worth jail cell to the heights of the conservative new media machine. Is it Akbar that conservative organizations fear as they willingly throw their money at his Vice and Victory agency and its various blog bashes, knowing the money will be stolen or misspent? Is it Akbar's political acumen, despite the fact that every election he's worked for, the candidate lost and lost big, that holds the right-wing blogosphere in its sway, including such ardent defenders as Michelle Malkin? Or is it a rumored connection with Karl Rove and the underground Washington, D.C. conservative gay sex scene that keeps Akbar in his designer suits? Does Akbar's story prove the old adage, it's not who you know, it's who you blow that counts? With this book, Vice and Victory, with the emphasis on the former, I invite you to follow the clues and come to your own conclusions in this entertaining political potboiler, made all the more amazing because it's true. Get your copy of Vice and Victory, with the emphasis on the former, by visiting my author's website, www.viceandvictory, that's one word, viceandvictory.us. And you can see all the books I have available for your purchase at www.bookjerk, that's one word, bookjerk.com/books.
This is Blood on the microphone.
Here's something I found on the Daily Caller. That's Tucker Carlson's little right-wing, bow-tie-wearing fascist news organ, if you will. And this was from several days ago, March 31st. And Ginny Thomas, the wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, who has her pudgy little fingers in many, many different pudgy little pies in the right wing, is interviewing comedian Evan Sayet, S-A-Y-E-T. I've never heard of a comedian named Evan Sayet, and I'm familiar with most of the top comedians. Nothing this guy says is intentionally funny, but let's give him a listen. Let's give him a chance. Ginny, why don't you go ahead and interview this funny, funny guy and see if he'll make us laugh?
What are the left's religions now?
But there's only one religion. I mean, the religion is that anything that is considered good, right, or has become successful has somehow been the beneficiary of some sort of injustice. What aesthetic or musical criterion do they apply to make what makes... Forgive it, they make us be vulgar, but this is the name of the word. What makes the Piss Christ an award-winning, beautiful piece of art? Nothing other than the fact that it is vulgar. Nothing other than the fact that it attacks a religion of peace. And if it had been the Piss Muhammad, the response would have been, so it's not the aesthetics. It's not art. They have no criterion for art because that would force them to discriminate. So the only criterion they have, and again, let me give you Soul's line. Soul says that he has a different word for them. He calls them the unconstrained thinkers, unconstrained by fact, reason, logic, evidence, truth, morality, decency, beauty, or anything else. He says, that which is held in esteem qualifies to be their target. That which is held in disdain qualifies to be their mascot. It is the only criterion, anything. This is why they claim to be anti-religion, but it's only anti-Jewish and anti-Christian. It's not anti-Muslim. In fact, they facilitate Islam with foot baths at the airport and so on.
People want to get to the bottom of Benghazi. Why does it matter?
Well, why it matters is because so that proper blame is assessed, proper reward is given to the heroes, and that the rightful actions are repeated and the wrongful ones aren't. I mean, forgive me, but duh. Okay? It does matter. But what's telling, again, my book, The Kindergarten of Eden, How the Modern Liberal Thinks, is a unified field theory of liberalism. That means, can we apply it to Benghazi? Yes. They were telling us that this movie that came out months ago was the cause of it. Why? Because they can't put the cause on the Islamists, because that would make Islam bad. So they had to be provoked, and they couldn't find anything. They were, there, we got something, we found something, a movie from 9 months ago. All right? And the same thing with gun control. If you look at it, they don't want to use their mind to discriminate between the bad guys and take them away from the bad guys, so they will indiscriminately take it away from everybody. Here you go.
Talk about the food police that we're seeing around right now.
Well, what's more telling to me than the food police in and of itself is that the same people who think that a 17-year-old girl isn't wise enough to choose what size or what type of soft drink she wants to have with her lunch, her 12-year-old sister is wise enough to go into a doctor and order a medical procedure that is the most morally difficult question perhaps in the entire universe. You know, I can understand perhaps if they were consistent on a certain issue, but wherever you look, it is they're at war against soda, but they don't care about human life. It's so, yeah, no matter how you look at it, it's both sides of it. That they only care about choice when it comes to killing a soon-to-be-born baby, but not choice. Choice isn't sacrosanct when it comes to schools. Choice isn't sacrosanct when it comes to what soft drink you do. Choice only matters, and by the way, they don't even need choice. Don't get me onto abortion. We can do that next time. And so we look, and it's completely hypocritical. Everything from them condemning the one-percenters while they are the one-percenters. You know, everything from you can't own a gun, but they have armed security guards. Right? If you believe that they really care about the environment, then, oh my gosh, how is it that Al Gore is flying around the globe polluting and driving around? Do you know that when he stops to give a speech, they leave the engines on so that the air conditioning is in his comfort zone when he returns back? Right? Now that seems contradictory, but only if you believe Al Gore cares about the environment. Once you recognize that this environmental movement is nothing other than another means to shackle the successful, to prevent successful businesses from going and doing what they're doing, it's also a way of taking your eyes off of the individual choices on the planet and look, it's global warming, so then you have to protect America. It's global warming, so if Israel disappears, who cares? It's global warming.
As you're describing this, it does make you wonder why people are subscribing to this worldview.
And here's the answer. Not enough of them have read my book.
Which its name is?
The Kindergarten of Eden, How the Modern Liberal Thinks. The original talk upon which it's based had a slightly different name. I called it Regurgitating the Apple, How the Modern Liberal Thinks. Because that's my shorthand for if mankind lost paradise when he ate the apple and gained knowledge of right and wrong and its little sisters, better and worse, truth and lies, the liberal believes if we would all just regurgitate the apple, give up all evidence, all knowledge of right and wrong, we can return to paradise, because then there'd be nothing to disagree about. If we didn't disagree, we wouldn't fight. If we didn't fight, we wouldn't go to war. Without war, there'd be no poverty. Without poverty, there'd be no crime. It's a utopian ideology. And all that's required is to be morally and intellectually retarded at the level of a 5-year-old child.
All right, Evan. Let me see if I understand you. You're saying that we on the left only have one religion. You're speaking for the left wing because you say that at one time you were a brain-dead liberal, okay? Well, maybe if your brain weren't dead, you might have picked some of this stuff up. You might understand it a little better. You're saying that for those of us on the left, there's only one religion, and that religion is that anything considered good, right, or successful has been the beneficiary of some sort of injustice. You should be working on a farm because you make a damn fine straw man. Now, I listened to your little interview there with Ginny Thomas, Clarence Thomas' baby mama, if you will, and I know she's a powerful woman in right-wing circles, and she could snap her fingers and have me killed or snap my neck with a flick of her wrist. I don't know. She looks pretty powerful. And I don't mean politically. Although I'm sure she is politically powerful. I'm just saying I would not want to get into a wrestling match with the woman. I think she could hurt me. And I'm a large guy. I mean, I'm a pretty good judge of upper body strength. And after all those years of holding up Clarence Thomas, I imagine that woman just strong as an ox. So let me see what we can do here. See if we can make this a little bit easier to understand, or at least a little less tedious and more entertaining. Would that be all right, Ginny, Evan?
Without war, there'd be no poverty. Without poverty, there'd be no crime.
What are the left's religions? What are the left's religions?
He's the piss Christ. He's the piss Christ.
What are the left's religions?
That which is held in esteem. He's the piss Christ. He's the piss Christ.
What are the left's religions?
Morally and intellectually retarded. Morally and intellectually retarded.
Why does it matter? Why does it matter? Talk about the food police.
Foot baths at the airport. Foot baths at the airport.
Why does it matter? Why does it matter? Why does it matter?
Choices and sacrosanct. Choices and sacrosanct.
Why does it matter?
Global warming. Global warming. Global warming. Global warming.
Why does it matter?
Baths at the airport and so on. How the modern liberal thinks.
Why does it matter?
How the modern liberal thinks.
It does make you wonder. It does make you wonder why people are subscribing to this.
Forgive me, but dog. It's the piss Christ.
There. It had a good beat, and I could dance to it.
Blood on the microphone.
What in God's name are you doing, wearing a Team Kimberlin hat?
My head was cold.
Yeah, but Team Kimberlin? Haven't you read what the blogs say about that guy?
You mean, those blogs that think Obama is from Kenya, and that gay marriage means the end of capitalism? Those blogs?
Well, yeah. Blogs kinda like that. They say that Team Kimberlin is evil and bad
and blah, 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 and other such nonsense. What they don't tell you is that Brett Kimberlin's Justice Through Music project educates young people about the importance of their voices in our government, how important their vote is, how they can work together for change, and to make America a better place.
But I heard Brett Kimberlin was like a demon, or something, controlling the tides, affecting the weather, shape-shifting, stuff like that.
You have to stop reading the crap. Those bright bots, right, Jim? They have a vested interest in the status quo. They like it when the 1% controls the economy. That's why I wear this Team Kimberlin hat. The bright bots have taken those two words and turned it into a smear. We're taking the words back and putting them in proper context. If you are for human equality, you are on Team Kimberlin. If you believe in justice for all, you are on Team Kimberlin. If you believe a woman should have control of her own reproductive rights, you are on Team Kimberlin. If you believe more people voting is a good thing, you are on Team Kimberlin.
And if I believe that the people like Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, and Coulter and Michelle Malkin have my best interests at heart,
then I'm sure we can find a hat for you somewhere. something that will look good in the unemployment line.
Don't be fooled by the fools and the foolish Brightbot blogs and the other right-wing echo chamber machine. Get your Team Kimberlin apparel today at www.cafepress.com/Team Kimberlin. 50% of all proceeds from sales of these items will go to the Justice Through Music Project and the other 50% to the National Parkinson Foundation. We're taking the words back. Team Kimberlin is no longer a smear. It's an icon of social justice. Join Team Kimberlin today at www.cafepress.com/Team Kimberlin.
This week on Brightbit News.
Sasha and Malia Obama are your children, too, inasmuch as they are the children of the President and First Lady of the United States, and they are the first family, and they live in America's house. That means they are your children, and you have a right to know where they are at any given moment in time.
That's why at Brightbit News, soon we will offer a downloadable program where you can monitor their exact location at any given time of day.
You know, in case you want to talk to them or anything.
Also,
the web search Google profanes Easter by honoring the birth of communist Cesar Chavez.
Easter, one of the holiest holidays of the holy Christian calendar, a time where holy people do holy things.
And Google honors Cesar Chavez, the communist who organized the United Farm Workers Union
and gave dirty Mexicans reason to believe that they could work under decent conditions.
That's not what Jesus would have wanted.
Also in Brightbit News,
Aaron Walker goes hunting for Schmalfelt and comes back with nothing, and he says he's winning. We'll tell you how.
And would you believe Team Kimberlin members are admitting to and bragging about being members of Team Kimberlin?
They even want you to buy items to show you are a member of Team Kimberlin.
The brazen profanity of honesty on full display.
All of this in the only website dedicated to the downfall of society.
Brightbit News.
You can't get it at a newsstand.
Even parakeets wouldn't poop on the newsprint.
So now it's only available online at www.brightbitnews.com. That's all one word.
Yes, hard to believe, but it is an actual website.
Brightbit News, available online
now.
Blood on the microphone.
Hello, I'm Texas Congressman Louis Gohmert. Now, there's a lot of misconceptions about me out there that I'd like to take a moment of your time to clear up, if I may. For one thing, I'm not crazy. That seems to be one of the more popular misconceptions out there in the mainstream media, is that I am a crazy man, which I am not. Would a crazy man love America as much as I do? You might even say I'm crazy about America, but I am not crazy about gay sex. No, sir. Men putting things inside other men that belong on the outside of other men and not inside other men disgust me. Shot glasses, flashlights, gerbils, and them little fuckers bite. You get bit inside the colon by one of them little fuckers, let me tell you, stings like a son of a bitch. And infection, whoa, that's a problem. Because you know what goes through your colon, right? Can you think of anything nastier and more germ-covered than a poop-covered guinea pig? Hell, I can't. And that's the sort of thing that leads people to trying to take our guns. Owning a gun and a guinea pig is a basic American right. Every man, woman, child, and hamster owner
should have a gun. For one thing, not only can you protect yourself against minorities moving into your neighborhood, but if you should happen to get a field mouse caught up your colon, they sneak in there sometimes at night, you can stick a hunk of cheese into the barrel of a gun, stick it up the old poop chute, and if the mouse ain't already full from eating your goddamn intestinal linings, which they will, he will bite the cheese, and you can pull him right out of there where he never should have been in the first place. Which is why you should never go to bed without underwear on, because if the mouse has to chew through your underwear, he'll probably wake you up. If he gets to just kind of slide up in there like it's a mouse hole, you might not even know he's there till it's too late. Hell, I knew a feller once had a field mouse stuck up his ass for nearly a year. Every day he'd put a wheel of cheddar cheese into his toilet and just sit there over it, hoping the mouse would smell the cheese and just come out on its own. It did come out, eventually, through his belly button. That's how they found him, dead, on his toilet, with a hole in his belly and a very bloody mouse trying to work its way between his ass cheeks into the toilet where it could get at the cheese. We had to burn the whole house down, but you didn't hear that from me. No, sir. If someone asks you how LBJ died, you just stick with the heart attack story if you know what's good for you. I'm Texas Congressman Louis Gohmert, and I approve this message because I'm not crazy. You got any cheese in here? All of a sudden I'm hungry for a goddamn little hunk of cheddar cheese or something.
What happens when a sociopathic neocon encounters a war veteran that's totally opposed to war? Well, his head explodes. On the 10th anniversary of the Iraq War, that's exactly what happened. On Twitter, the former executive director of the South Carolina Republican Party, Todd Kincannon, lashed out at Iraq war veteran Mike Preisner for some tweets he made about police brutality in Hugo Chavez.
Somebody's tweeting, sending a picture, making my retinas burn. Why did I open? It's Todd Kincannon. When will I ever learn? I'm disgusted by tweets by this sick right-wing prick. The nausea wrecking my body. It's pictures of Kincannon's dick.
Kincannon's shocking tweet reads as follows. At Mike Preisner, you are an Iraq veteran. Shame you didn't come home in a body bag. So basically he's saying that Mike's differing point of view about foreign policy warrants him a violent death.
I have to block him, Todd and his cock him, and all the evil he tweets. I'm living in fear now, fearing that each tweet features a shot of his meat. I'm revolted, the memory still makes me sick, unable to digest my dinner from pictures of Kincannon's dick.
Then he went on to a string of lunacy, saying that, quote, he wishes the Iraqis had better aim with his arse. And yet another, reading, quote, I hope if that guy is ever in combat again, the enemy splatters his brains JFK style. He deserves it. And just last night, after receiving heavy backlash from independent media outlets and the Twitter community, Kincannon stood by his hate speech proudly, saying, quote, Iraq vet and Hugo Chavez lover Mike Preisner should have come home from Iraq in a body bag. Damn bad aiming Iraqis. Yes, these are very strong words indeed, but you have to understand the type of animal Kincannon really is. One who gets off on being the most vulgar, disgusting pig he can possibly be.
Someone must stop him, I just can't take it. Weakened by what I have seen. I'm scared of bratwurst, can't eat a hot dog because of Kincannon's ween. I'm infected by thinking it's gone slow and thick. I can't even look at a pickle since seeing Dr. Kincannon's dick.
In fact, he's actually notorious for being a sexist, bigoted, racist homophobe. Case in point is this classy post he made during this year's Super Bowl, where he tweeted, quote, "This Super Bowl sucks more D than adult Trayvon Martin would have for drug money." All right, so is this just his a-hole Twitter personality? Actually, no. In fact, while he was engaged to be married, and I can't imagine what human being would marry this bloated snake, but several interns came forward with alleged screenshots of him sexually harassing them incessantly, begging them for naked photos, and at one point, sending them photos of his penis. This man has no shame. Kincannon embodies the same kind of sleazy and perverted political leadership that would get the average Democrat the boot, Anthony Weiner, which is perhaps the most shocking aspect of this story, that we've yet to hear any sort of condemnation against this hateful rhetoric being spewed by a former leader of the Republican Party. You would think that the GOP, who's been trying to rid themselves of being stereotypically racist, sexist, and bigoted, would immediately distance themselves from this ranting psychopath. But that hasn't been the case at all. And yes, clearly this guy is a desperate troll crying for attention, and maybe for that reason I shouldn't be giving him any. But sometimes a troll gotta be trolled. So sign this petition at marchforward.org and support Mike Preisner against these fascist attacks. And on that note, today's hero is Mike Preisner, not only for being the bigger person in all this, but actually having the gall to speak out against the war. Preisner had the guts to go to Iraq to fight for his country and showed even more courage to come home from that war and fight against the corrupt government and lies that sent him there. So Mike Preisner, for embodying more courage than this cowardly chicken hawk Kincannon will ever know, you are today's hero.
You are listening to
Blood on the Microphone.
Well, hello there.
Hello, yourself.
Say, I couldn't help but notice how nice you look in the Team Kimberlin Racerback tank top shirt. Very becoming, if I may say.
Thank you. And that Team Kimberlin baseball hat and jersey makes you look very athletic and intelligent.
That Team Kimberlin water bottle. Not only does it show you understand the need to stay properly hydrated while exercising, it also shows you care about social justice. Very nice.
Thank you. Your Team Kimberlin gym bag shows that you believe in a better world for everyone, and not just the top 1%. I like that in a man.
The best part is knowing that the proceeds from our purchase of these fine Team Kimberlin items are going to help people.
Oh, yes. 50% goes to the Justice Through Music project, which spreads the word about the importance of voting to young people like us.
The other 50% goes to the National Parkinson Foundation to help find a cure for this disease that ravages 1.5 million Americans, with 50,000 new diagnoses each year.
So, not only do we look good with all this great Team Kimberlin stuff,
we're actually doing good for each other and for America. And that's what patriotism is all about. Would you like to come to my place and see my Team Kimberlin canvas pillow, beer, stuns, and boxer shorts?
No.
Check out the wide selection of Team Kimberlin items available today at www.cafepress.com/Team Kimberlin. Once again, 50% of proceeds from the sale of these items goes to the National Parkinson Foundation, and the other 50% goes to the Justice Through Music project. You'll be helping, and we thank you.
The number you have dialed has been changed. The new number is
Blood on the Microphone.
Please note, the new number is
Blood on the Microphone.
And that's going to about wrap it up for today's episode of Evil Lurks in the Hearts of Wingnuts here on Blood on the Microphone. And again, you don't really have any idea how close this was to being my final radio program. I mean, for a little while this morning, I was done. I wasn't going to do this anymore. But then the more I thought about it, the more I realized that if I step away from the microphone, they win. So I choose to stay. Anyway, have a good night, have a good rest of your day, and follow Louis Gohmert's advice. Make sure you wear underwear when you go to bed. You don't want a field mouse sneaking in there while you're sleeping. Hey, I wear 2 or 3 pair just to keep that from happening.
The weed of crime bears bitter fruit. Crime does not pay.
The liberal grouch knows. Blood on the Microphone is an internet radio program. Copyright 2013 by Bill Schmalfelt. All rights reserved. To learn more about the evil doings of the Breitbart gang and other duplicitous right-wing scum, subscribe online to www.breitbartunmasked.com. You can follow Bill on Twitter by entering at liberalgrouch@twitter.com. You can friend Bill on Facebook by logging on to www.facebook.com/libby.grouch. Of course, you can like the Blood on the Microphone fan page on Facebook at www.facebook.com/bloodymike. That's /BLOODYMIC, like one word. Don't forget to show your support for Blood on the Microphone, Breitbart Unmasked, and social justice by becoming a charter member of Team Gimbalin today. Go to www.cafepress.com/Team Gimbalin and check out all the hats, shirts, cups, stickers, buttons, and other gear. Remember, 50% of the profits go to the Justice Through Music project. The other 50% to the National Parkinson Foundation. Blood on the Microphone is a Team Kimberlin production and can be heard live at noon Eastern, Monday through Friday on Spreaker Web Radio. Join us next time for more Blood on the Microphone. And Breitbots, don't forget, he's coming. He's coming for you. Will you be ready?